Okay, so today we're going to look at a Intel G4400 CPU unboxing, and it's the new Skylake architecture. We got a motherboard, a graphics card, and some memory that we're going to unbox here as well, just to give you guys an idea of what we're looking at for a budget system. So I'll open it up here. Okay, so with your budget Intel, you get a little CPU cooler, and it comes with thermal paste on the bottom. It doesn't even have a copper core, which probably isn't a lot necessary for stock clocks, but if you're going to do any overclocking, you're probably going to want something a little better. And you get a little Intel booklet that I don't think anybody ever actually reads. 3-year limited warranty, and a logo inside there. And here's what you really want to look at is your Pentium G $65 CPU. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to put all this hardware together and see what kind of overclocks we can get out of it, and see if it's really worth utilizing Intel's cheapest CPU. I think it's a good idea to get into computing that way with the new Skylake. I think it's probably worth to get into the DDR4 that way. It's a lot cheaper than maybe buying yourself 1151 socket Skylake. i7 would be like $440. So this helps people to get into the platform really cheaply, and for a lot of games that's all you really need. And we're going to do some benchmarks and find out how well it stacks up. I do think that adding faster memory with a CPU that has less CPU cache is going to be beneficial. So we're going to test that out as well and see. So what I got here was actually a budget deal. 16 gigs of Patriot Viper memory. Came with the AMD 370 on Newegg for $20 off. So I saved $20 on the memory essentially. $125 graphics card. It's basically the 7850 rebranded. So we'll see what it does. So for total cost, I'll have to run over the numbers again. But this here is 3000 megahertz, 16 gigs CL16, which I hope we can get to run at 15 at 3000. No guarantees, no promises, that sort of thing. But we'll go over that later. So basically that's all you get. You get a little Patriot sticker, get a box, some memory. The memory looks pretty decent, I think. It looks pretty nice. I don't know how well you can see it here, but really nice stuff for low dollar amount. It was $200 for the memory and the GPU together, and I think that's a pretty good deal. Let's get this out of the way here. So let's cut the tape on this, and open this guy up here. And actually, I was kind of impressed with the price of this card, considering what it should be able to do. It's a 2 gig, 256-bit bus video card, and I guess it's comparable to like the 950 from NVIDIA. I guess in my personal preference, I'd rather have a wider bus, but not to say that the 950 is a bad card either. It's also relatively close to the same price, so that'll be something we'll look into later. Okay, now this is from XFX, and I've been really happy with their products. They carry AMD products, and or video cards, I should say, and I think they're exclusive to AMD. I don't think they have any NVIDIA, mostly because it's direct competition, so I don't think they do that. These fans look really nice. It's got the dual heat pipe cooler. I don't really care for this per se, because what it does is it puts all the heat back into your computer case, and you need extra case flow to get rid of any heat. So for most games, like say playing MOBA style or Dota style games, they're not going to require a lot of GPU power, and it probably isn't going to be an issue. But if you're playing some intense gaming games like intense graphical games like Crysis or Battlefield or anything like that, this is going to produce a significant amount of heat in your case, and you're going to need to have enough cooling to move that air through the case. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Really a beautiful card. I really like XFX for their support. I've had to call and talk to them a few times about the 290s that I had, and I had 290s from a bunch of different companies, and out of all the companies that I called, XFX was definitely the most helpful and honest with me, and the most sincere. And not that they were able to do much anyway, because it was an AMD issue with the driver. It was nice to have someone to actually tell you the truth about what was going on, not just oh, we can't help you, or oh, we don't know, or I feel like with this company you get a lot more direct support. You get somebody that actually knows something about something, or they'll tell you, well, I don't know, but I can find out, or that sort of thing. So anyway, there you can see what it's like without the plastic on it. Take a look at the back of the card. There is no memory on the back, so I guess there's no need for a back plate other than aesthetics. I'm not a big fan of back plates anyways, so that is what it is. I like being able to see all the components. Maybe a little nicer to have a back plate for handling the card and that sort of thing, but I don't feel like it's really necessary by any means. It does have a vent in the back to allow some of the heat to escape through the back, although you're probably not going to get a lot of it to come through there. One thing to note here, we do have
HDMI 1.4, maybe 1.4a, and also a DisplayPort 1.2. And
it does have dual DVI connections. Now this is a digital only. It doesn't have the extra 4 little pegs here like the analog one does. So they're both DVI ports and they both function like that. But like say you wanted to hook up an analog monitor, you have to have an adapter. The one without the 4 extra holes will not be able to accept the adapter. The adapter will have those 4 little pegs. Essentially those pegs are delivering all the data for the analog signal. So that's one thing to consider, especially in a lot of newer graphics cards. They're getting away from that, and so it's nice to have the option to go analog. I think you can get a converter. They're more expensive for like an HDMI to analog as well, but like I said, they'll cost you more money. So it's kind of a nice thing to have on this card, because I know the 290s and the 390s do not. So I like to see that. Now, best bang for your buck card probably is still like your 280X, which is basically a 7970. But for starting out, this would be a good card to play around with and to be able to actually play some games, especially if you're at lower resolutions. This card is probably more at anything under 1080p. 1080p will probably do fine in a lot of games. Maybe not max settings, but medium to high settings, so that's nice. Let's see, what else does it come with? It comes with a dual 4-pin Molex connector to a 6-pin. It does have one 6-pin power outlet, and one cool thing about this card is it does have the power outlet on the top reverse, so you can actually get at the disconnect clip. Okay, so I think that's pretty much everything. I don't know if I missed anything or anything like that. It looks like a nice card. You can see in there a little bit. Let's see, what else did we get in the box? Driver CD install guide. Basically, if you can't figure this out, you probably shouldn't be building your own computer anyway, so you put in the CD and you hit autoplay or run or whatever, and that's about it. It's got a little dummy guide here saying that you have to use the right power connector. Yay. Okay, so I think that does it for our video card. One more thing I wanted to go over with the Intel heatsink. Well, if you buy this CPU brand new, it does come with thermal paste, right? You can see it's already on there. Now, this paste should work fine and everything, but you see how there's 3 strips? As these get older, even though they're in a box, they're not actually sealed. So the thermal paste will actually dry out and may not get enough force to adequately spread the thermal paste everywhere that it needs to be. So keep that in mind if you're buying an older box CPU that you're going to just slap the stock heatsink on. It may not be a good idea to use this paste. You might want to wipe it off with some alcohol and paper towel. And I think that would be a wise decision because you won't necessarily notice the temperatures being that bad, but there'll be spots on the chip that'll be warm and cause instability. And it's just really not worth it. It's better off to just get some good Arctic Silver 5 or something and slap on there, in my opinion. So, okay, so for the motherboard, we chose an ASRock, Windows 10 ready, supports Crossfire. It's a Z170 chipset. The reason I went with the ASRock is because it's actually made by ASUS, or the parent company is ASUS, and so they have good quality backing. And I've used quite a few ASRock boards over the years now, and I've had really good luck with their BIOSes. Now, I always thought as ASRock being a really budget-oriented company, and I didn't really think their boards were that high quality, but every single board I've ever had from them has stood up to the test of time. I haven't had a board go bad. So I gotta say, as far as quality is concerned, it seems to be pretty good. I actually purchased my 2011 socket motherboard from ASRock for $600. It had the dual PLX chip with LSI onboard RAID controller for SAS. And wow, what a great board. The BIOS in there is top notch. I started out with the Sandy Bridge, overclocked to 5.0 on it with really relatively low volts for a 6-core 3930K CPU, and got the memory running at 2400 and all that. And then I picked up an Ivy Bridge Extreme Edition. What is it, the 4960K, I think, or X rather. And that overclocked really well too with some low voltages. 4.7 with hyperthreading on, 100% rock solid. So that's pretty good. I could maybe do 4.8 without the hyperthreading on, but either way, So overall, I mean, that was a BIOS update to do the Ivy Bridge on that ASRock motherboard, and I think that they do good on their updated BIOSes. So I've had a couple other budget ASRock boards, and they've both done well as well. And I haven't done BIOS updates on those, so I can't say for sure that how they're going to turn out. But yeah, I've had good luck with them. So let's get in here and see what you get for relatively low amount of money. If memory serves, I'll have to look it up. I think it was under $100 for this motherboard. You get your instruction manual and 12 different languages or some crap. You get your driver CD. You get 2 SATA cables. You get a screw. I'm not sure what that's for. You get a back plate, an IO plate. So, and that's probably going to be it for this one. You get your motherboard. That's it. So, really basic, really cheap. I'll have to go back and update and see how much it was. Total for everything here today was, I want to say it was right around $350. So, for a CPU, motherboard, memory, 16 gigs of memory, and a video card, that's pretty reasonable. So, there you have it. Nice pretty board. Looks really nice. If you notice here, the 16X slot is down away from the memory. Okay, so if you have a video card that is right next to your memory, it's hard to get the memory in and out. And coolers, CPU coolers can sometimes get close. So I like this. The 1X slot is up here, and it's got double spacing between two. So if you have two graphics cards in, there'll be room for them to breathe in between. It's got your M.2 here. I would have preferred to see the M.2 down here or maybe up here even, but that's okay. You know, it'll work. So, and it looks like you can move this wherever you want it. Sure, that comes undone. You can get a pretty long one in there too. I probably wouldn't go for the M.2, especially not next to the video card anyway, because it's going to be warm and it'll just cause stability issues in my opinion. So maybe not if you had the blower style heatsink on your video card, it wouldn't be an issue. Even with this low of a power video card, probably won't be an issue. But if you put in a bigger video card later, it could be an issue. So I'd probably just go with the standard. What is it? The Intel controller one, the NVMe or something like that, and that'll provide you with every bit as much speed as the M.2, and it'll be through a cable that'll be somewhere else. It does look like it has 2 ports for that as well. So 8-pin power, Molex power for your PCIe. I don't really know. Looks like it has a nice heatsink on the bottom there for the South Bridge. Take a look at the back. Pretty standard. I mean, it's not a super heavy duty board. It's not super thin. It's just pretty average, you know. But should do the trick. We'll get her all hooked up and see what she can do. I guess we can probably take a look at the I/O here. It's got your DVI connection without the analog support. It's got an HDMI port. And this is only for the onboard graphics on the CPU, so you know, limited functionality on that as far as gaming. But looks like it's got USB 3.0 ports, 6, 1 Ethernet port, gigabit. It's got your standard 3 out or line in and audio out and mic in. So I actually like this here. It has one PS2 port for keyboard mouse support for Legacy, and that's kind of nice because you know, if you're on a budget anyway, it's nice to have the option to use an older mouse or an older keyboard in case you need to. So that's kind of nice support built in. Also, sometimes the PS2 mice and stuff like that work better in the BIOS and that sort of thing. They're just natively accepted everywhere. So let's see, how many connectors do we have here? Got a couple of nice fan headers in the bottom here for the 4 pin, so it's got the speed sensitive fan header. It's got a normal 3 pin here and a 4 pin here. I think that's about it. Which is fine. Would have liked to see one up top. Not a big deal. It's got a removable BIOS chip, that's always nice, so if you do have BIOS issues, you can pop it out. You don't have to send the whole motherboard in, so that's nice. Let's open and see what's in there. I don't know how this cover comes off. Super simple socket design. You just pry it off here. There we go. You just stick your thumb under that little clip there and pull up. I don't know, I've never had one that was hard to pull off before. That one stuck pretty good. Okay, so we've done an unboxing of everything, so I guess the next step is to find a case and slap it all together and see what she can do. So I'll see you next time.